Welcome to our Ash Wednesday chapel service. Welcome to those of you who are joining us online, and welcome to those of you in the sanctuary. Yes, I'm staring at that camera on the wall. So great to have some of you here in the sanctuary. There are people in the church tonight who are here for classes, and please know that next week we will be open for our Wednesday Connections chapel service. So we look forward to seeing more of you in this beautiful sanctuary of memory and light and hope next Wednesday evening. Ash Wednesday, as I'm sure you know, marks the beginning of Lent in the Christian calendar. It's a unique time. It's a holy day. It marks a transition. As winter comes to a close and we anticipate the coming of spring, we also settle into this service. Ash Wednesday is a time to remember that we are mortal, that our lives are limited in time. Ash Wednesday is a time for centering and reflection. It's a time also for purification and sometimes even a time for sacrifice as we prepare ourselves for Easter, which is, as we all know, a time for rebirth and resurrection, for new life and new hope. So in anticipation of this Ash Wednesday service, I was asking myself the simple question that I'm asking you too. How do you prepare for new life, for spiritual rebirth, if you will? And wondering about that question, I was reminded of how my daughter prepared herself to give birth to her daughter, my granddaughter, Josephine, just a few months ago in December. I thought if I looked at literal preparation for literal birth, it might help us all understand how we prepare for a spiritual rebirth. And I realized that she did the wisdom of these traditions, right? These Christian traditions and even pagan traditions before them, that she did in preparation for that baby's birth. She cleaned out her house. And she had to get rid of a bunch of stuff to make way for all this new baby stuff that was coming in. And she's not a heavy drinker, but she did give up alcohol during her pregnancy for the benefit of that child. She ate healthier foods to prepare the way for that new life and that new baby. So that's what we're going to be doing together this evening, is we're going to begin preparing ourselves for new things to appear, to be born in our own lives and in our own spirits, in our own souls. And in order to do that, just like she had to haul the old stuff out of the garage and the closet to clean it out, we're actually going to invite in, it might seem counterintuitive, but we're going to invite in the old memories, old feelings, even the challenging feelings, old thoughts, old habits of thought that we're tired of. We're inviting them in to acknowledge them, to make themselves known, so that then we can release them. It's part of what we offer each other here in spiritual community, in this sanctuary. With the support of each other, we know we have the strength to invite these things in, release them. Just like it's like a law of physics. I think of it as a law of physics. There are physical laws and there are spiritual laws, and by pouring ourselves out, we also make sense for something to be born anew into our psyches and into our minds and into our souls, very much in the way a well fills with water. We empty ourselves and then we're filled. So that image of water, I want you to hold that image of water, because at the end of this service, we'll do a ritual with water together. And if you're at home, I invite you now, we have water here in the sanctuary, but if you're at home, I invite you to go and get 2 bowls, 2 containers, and a pitcher or a larger glass with water, so that you will all have that available at the end of our service. And while you're getting your bowls and getting your water at home, Pastor Smith, our maestro at the piano this evening, will lead us in song.
Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, Comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. You're welcome to sing along. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul. Comfort me, comfort me, comfort me, oh my soul.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I spoke just briefly about the wisdom of ancient traditions. So, Taoism is one of those very ancient traditions that describes the power of water. So, I want to start with a reading, chapter 8 of the Tao Te Ching. A person of great virtue is like the flowing water. Water benefits all things and contends not with them. It puts itself in a place that no one wishes to be, and thus is closest to Tao. A virtuous person is like water which adapts itself to the perfect place. Their mind is like the deep water that is calm and peaceful. Their heart is kind like water that benefits all. Their words are sincere like the constant flow of water. Their governing is natural without desire, which is like the softness of water that penetrates hard rocks. Their work is of talent, like the free flow of water. Their movement is of right timing, like water that flows smoothly. A virtuous person never forces their way, and hence will not make faults. I'll return to the Tao in just a minute, but I also wanted to read you this poem by W.B. Yeats. Because of the crossroads we find ourselves in the world right now. This was written in May of 1938, just as war in Europe was breaking out. How can I, that girl standing there, my attention fix on Roman or on Russian or on Spanish politics? Yet here's a traveled man that knows what he talks about, and there's a politician that is both read and thought, and maybe what they say is true of war and war's alarms. But oh, that I were young again and held her in my arms. Our third and last reading is from chapter 76 of the Tao. When a person is alive, they are soft and supple. When they die, the body becomes hard and stiff. When a plant is alive, it is soft and flexible. When it is dead, it becomes dry and brittle. Therefore, hard and rigid shall lead to death. Soft and gentle shall lead to life. Thus, a strong army with rigid force shall not win. A thick and big tree will be cut down for its use. The big and strong will take an inferior position. The soft and gentle will take a superior position. Our world is at a crossroads, and it may be that your life is too. If you're here to take our class, Healing from Fundamentalism, tonight, I would very much believe that your life is at a crossroads, and I celebrate that with you. I was talking with Mary Keller, who's here in our sanctuary tonight, that it's been 2 years since we've been able to gather together in chapel for Ash Wednesday and say those powerful words, from dust you have come, to dust you shall return, words that we say at our interment services in our memorial garden as we draw a cross of ashes on our foreheads. 2 years later, here we are again at another global crossroads, living, us humble people, at this seemingly very significant time in history. Death feels close between COVID and war breaking out. Deaths of civilians and soldiers, watching videos on our phones, as I've been doing, I'm sure you've been doing too. The tradition at this time, during the season of Lent, as I said, is to let go of something, to allow something new to arrive. I couldn't help but pray that we as global leaders would let go of war, but that's an unrealistic aspiration or hope or dream. And although the tradition has gone too far sometimes, and you may discuss this in your class tonight, encouraging unhealthy self-sacrifice, and we may have, each of us, taken sacrifice too far in our own lives. And although it may feel unfair at this point, after 2 years of being isolated and apart, to think about sacrificing something else at this point in our lives, I've decided personally to accept this invitation to let something go this Lent so I can allow something new to come in. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about why. Because to sacrifice actually means to make something sacred. And as we're inundated by these images of war, the very idea that with our own thoughts and words and actions, we can bring more love and more peace and more holiness and more wholeness into the world is actually quite extraordinary when you think about it. I was sitting outside yesterday for one of my Zoom meetings, and I had to pause when I heard a plane flying overhead. It was so loud, and I muted myself, and I thought immediately of the people in the Ukraine, hearing planes and worrying about bombs. And then I shifted and felt my own mother's fear, my mother who lived through the Second World War in Paris, who had to listen to planes fly overhead waiting for bombs to drop. And I understood better today than I ever have before how much the birth of her youngest brother, who was born in 1943 at the height of the war, how much the birth of that baby helped my mother and her family survive. There's something about holding a baby in your arms that makes hopelessness just not an option. Not an option. There's something about that arrival of new life that insists that we care and tend to life. Here at All Souls, our task as a faith community is to make even this time in history and even this time in our lives sacred or holy best we can. So you might be wondering, well, how? How can I do that? That happens sometimes when I come to chapel. It happens sometimes when I come to church on Sunday mornings. But how do I do that in my own life? And it just so happens that at our Touchstone Circle this past Sunday, in our Touchstone Circles, we really practice sitting in silence, listening deeply, and speaking from our hearts. And in that circle of members and friends, you surprised yourselves by remembering and naming the ways that you make your daily lives holy. The more we talked, the more we listened, the more we shared in that silence, people realized that, oh, I do. I step outside and I let the sun shine on my face and I close my eyes and I'm just in nature for 5 or 10 minutes. And that does recenter me. That does reground me. That does connect me with something greater than myself. I journal every morning. I wake up and I do a reading and I journal. I pay attention to my own thoughts, and that connects me with Source internally. It settles me. It grounds me. When I come home from work, I listen to music, and I just don't turn it on in the background, but I really tune in to what I'm hearing, and it settles my wild emotions and my wild thoughts. And I reconnect with Source. And people from various faith traditions realized that they had that power in their own lives to sanctify their own lives without the intervention of any authority. So as we enter this 40 days of Lent, anticipating Easter, I do want to invite you to consider what you will let go of, what you will relinquish or refrain from, that will create new space in your life for something new. Because in the midst of the desecration of the holy, which I think is the best definition of war we can think of, perhaps this is actually the most significant thing we can do. Protect and cherish our own humanity and each other's humanity and all that's sacred within us and among us and between us. Because when the war's over, and it will be over, because all wars come to an end, your humanity will be something to hold on to and something to pass on, because it's actually our humanity that makes us divine. We're going to receive this evening's offering, and we're going to sing Come, Come, Whoever You Are, which is a poem by Sufi Muslim poet and mystic Rumi. And the version we usually sing only contains part of the poem. We often leave out the line, though you've broken your vows 1,000 times, come yet again, come. And with those words, Rumi invites us to heal not only ourselves, but our communities through this practice of radical acceptance and compassion, of letting go, of emptying ourselves out, and allowing ourselves to be refilled as we pour out our self-doubt, our insecurities, our anger, our jealousy, all those troublesome, fierce emotions. We are filled with a peace and a love. And in that quiet, we can hear how we are called to respond, how to resist, and how to act. Our offering this morning goes to the Unitarian Universalist Service Committee, which was very active during the Second World War, helping Jews and others escape from the Nazi regime in Europe. It's when our chalice, the symbol of our chalice, was actually created. So you can text Love BB, all one word, to 73256, or click on the chat on Zoom, or drop off a check here. I don't know, we'll figure out something in the sanctuary. Come, come, whoever you are. We'll now gratefully receive this evening's offering.
It's number 188 in the gray hymnal if you want to follow along. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. Come, yet again come. Come, yet again come.
hope you have your water and your bowls at home, and I invite you all to come forward and take 2 vessels. And you can do the same at home, 2 bowls and some water. Maybe we can just stand around the table for a minute. Great. And we take a few deep breaths. Yay, come on up, come on up, come on up. Get your 2 bowls. Here we go. And feel your breath in your body, your feet on the ground, your head connected to the heavens. This is a place where we use religious language, but we reimagine what that language means. We reclaim it and we recreate meanings for ourselves, just as we're doing this evening with this ritual of pouring out and making space for something new to enter in. We heard about the power of water, the gentle force, and how cleansing and rejuvenating it is. So as we pour water into our first dish, I want you to imagine what you're ready to relinquish. What habit of thought, what regret, what old pattern, what belonging, whatever it may be, something that you're ready to refrain from, putting yourself down maybe, thinking you're unworthy, knowing that when you let that go, something new, healthier, more whole, more holy will come into you and take its place. And with that in mind, the letting go, I invite you to pour some water into your first vessel. It is holy water.
Holy water, that's right.
All water is holy water.
That's right.
And we're going to bless ourselves with it in a minute.
Yes.
So now, holding that image in mind, I hope you have some really clear words. The more clear your intention is, the more powerful the ritual will be. Be really honest with yourself and really clear with yourself. And for this portion of emptying ourselves out, of cleaning and clearing ourselves out, we're just going to pour the water from one container into the other as we empty ourselves. You might want to do this every day at home for the next 40 days. Just to remind yourself at the beginning of the day or the end of the day what intention you set, what you're refraining from, what you're letting go of. Now, because I want us all to do it the same way in the sanctuary and at home, you can lift up your water and you're going to bless yourself the way we would do in chapel. We would do ashes on your forehead and a cross. I want you to say, "From water I have come, and to water I shall return. From water I have come, to water I shall return." Making the sign of the cross if that feels good. Or just some water on your forehead. From the womb of our mothers, from the great oceans of our planet, now is the time to love ourselves as we are. Now is the time to love our world as it is. Now is the time to know ourselves as beloved. Put our water down. Thank you. I think we can return to your seats.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wind set me free, Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Thank you for joining us for this Lenten Wednesday, Ash Wednesday, Water Wednesday chapel. I hope you'll carry these images of water with you throughout the week and let yourselves be more fluid and more flowing than you ever imagined was possible. Things can be released and new things can take their place. May the light of the divine shine upon us. May the love of the divine heal our struggling world. And may the birth of the divine take place again and again and again in each of our hearts. Go and be blessed and be a blessing. Amen.